Hi, I'm Kat Kramer. I'm with Yusuf Nasir at the El Portal Theater in the NoHo district, and the set is just being built on the eve of his very first dance concert that he's directed and choreographed called The Shout. That's right, you can check it out here, but I'm going to find out a little bit about it first. First of all, the set is so amazing,
Thank you.
isn't it?
It is
Yeah.
actually it's quite beautiful. I love what's happening and that we're able to pull it off in this space because it definitely has a lot of unique features to it. I can't wait to see the finished product. I can't wait for people to come and see the finished product.
And it's just, the first time for you with this. But can you talk a little bit about the origins, how you came about the idea, the music, the staging?
So the idea came from really my own life experience. I went through a somewhat difficult period a couple years ago where I had a brief bout with mental illness, and I remember in that time I felt, I mean, as most people do, just kind of lower than scum, and I didn't really know where to put all that anger or shame or guilt or hostility. It wasn't enough just to talk about it with someone. It's like, okay, I have to do something with this. And so once I had gotten back from backpacking Europe, because I needed a break for myself, I got back and kind of started thinking, how would it look if, American Horror Story Asylum, The Matrix, had a baby and it was a dance show? And from then on, I kind of started piecing it together in my head. And the opportunity came up for me to try somewhat of a version of it at the college that I teach at, AMDA American Music Dramatic Arts Conservatory. Big ups. And so after that, a independent financier came and said, I want to maybe try this at an outside theater and see what happens to the general public. And so that's how we've ended up here, on the eve of the opening.
Well, it sounds cinematic too, though, from what you've described, and I know you could make a great film out of it. Any
Oh.
plans for that or a documentary about the making of, or what are some of the things you'd love to do with the show itself?
I personally would love to do. I would love to do it behind the scenes, even though we're almost done with the process. So I think that we should have done that before. But I'm clearly going to shoot the show. I think it's something that people will enjoy either on stage and on film. I think that's the beauty of it. I mean, coupled from the dancing, the set alone, once it's complete, really lends itself to being enjoyed on camera. And a lot of times, one of the biggest stigmas is with dance, it's not always able to be received on film. So, yes, we definitely have plans to do a lot of different things with the show, whether it be a DVD, whether it be behind the scenes, whether it gets remounted at even bigger theater with a bigger budget. I leave my options completely open. I would want them to be endless. I would not want this to be the only time we do it or the only time people get to see it.
Now, the Shout is here opening this week on the 22nd of September through the 25th. So you have to hurry. It's only four performances. And then you have a lot of other projects you're working on, though, besides this.
Yes.
Talk a little bit about the one coming up, The Search for Signs of Intelligent Life in the Universe Revisited, October through the 4th. And I
So
think
officially opens October. I think, officially opens October 8th. I should know this because I'm choreographing it. But yeah, no, I got a call from Ken Sawyer, who is an amazing, Los Angeles director, has an amazing eye for great storytelling. He called me up because he needed a choreographer, and we just recently worked with each other for Hit the Wall, which I
which
think
was
is
amazing, amazing, amazing.
Thank you, thank you. I'm really proud of that because it was the first time I did a show where there wasn't a lot of dance.
Well, I'm very excited about The Search because that's one of my favorites. And I actually had told Lily Tomlin a few years ago that it would be great to take that work by Jane Wagner that she originated and have multiple actors playing the parts. So I feel like, oh my gosh, now they're doing it. But I suggested only do it once, and what is so revolutionary is that what Ken is doing and what you're doing is you're doing a whole run of it. So it's not just a one time to see if it works. You guys are going for it, going for broke. And so talk a little bit about, because I saw Hit the Wall. It was so groundbreaking, and so I know this will be too. And this one has, I think, 12 actors, right,
We
playing.
have, well, are we for the project I'm working on with Ken for The Search, it has 11 actors playing the different characters that Lily Tomlin originally, performed. And I wasn't too familiar with the play. It was a little slightly before my time, but listening to the words and the text, I was like, this is beyond relevant for today. And the life that the actors are injecting into it. I mean, we had a reading about a couple of weeks ago, and Lily was there, and it brought her to tears because there was such passion behind people's performances, and you can tell that people were really invested in the product, and that's something that I always like to be a part of, which I think no monetary amount, can give a person, is that you're around people who are passionate about their craft and love their craft. And so I'm very honored that Ken asked me to do another project with him, and that it's with someone and a part of an organization, the LGBT Center, that is highly reputable and does so much for the city of Los Angeles.
Yeah, I'm a big supporter of all their programs and the Vanguard Awards and all their shows. And now in this particular show, The Shout, you have 16 dancers, right?
Yes.
And talk a little bit about how because they're two completely different projects, but you're literally tackling this one and then going right into that. Yes. So you're the man, though. I mean you're literally the choreographer of the moment here, though. You know that. So how does it feel being that and having, there's social issues in both, actually. Can you talk a little bit about the social justice issues in The Shout?
Of course.
And the cultural issues.
The social issues that I attack in the show kind of it sticks more to the theme, which is about the line that we dance on between sanity and insanity. I think socially we try to put labels on people, and when we do that, we separate ourselves. Like, we don't try to build similarities in community. We like to segregate when we deem what is normal, what is right, and what is wrong, or how we perceive normal, right, or wrong. So from a social aspect, it is attacking, race. People discriminate against people solely because of their skin. Socially, we talk about, religion, which is kind of more so cultural and social, because you can kind of see religion as a culture, maybe a cult, depending on how you look at it. Because I deal with a lot of the Catholic Church. There's a section in the show where it deals with our protagonist, kind of going through his childhood and his time in the seminary, and kind of like the labels that are placed on the Catholic Church. Socially, I do deal with women and kind of the exploitation of women. I think that sometimes, if women don't suit a certain, standard, they're not looked at as sexy. So although we have this really, 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 really sexy number of girls, I mean, the reality is that our lead doesn't really even like girls. So it's kind of like, you can do all that, but it's that's not necessarily what defines the beauty of a woman. It's funny because we actually wanted to add a section in the show dealing with rape. And that was way before the case came up in Stanford. Believe it or not, my executive producer, John Wooster, was like, I think we need to put a section about rape. I said, why? Because we touched on everything else but that. I was like, yeah, but wouldn't that make the show a little too heavy-handed? And he literally looked at me and said, you said this whole show is heavy-handed from beginning to end. If we're going to go there, let's just throw the whole kitchen sink at it. So if we ever did do another revision or did it, we would definitely probably think about adding that, because I do think that there's not enough attention even put on women's rights. I think there's ways of putting that into art where it's beautiful, but it's compelling.
That's all, the issues that I'm about. And it's interesting, too, another thing that we have in common, The Hunting Ground is a film that we gave the Stanley Kramer Award to. The Lady Gaga is the theme song. That's where she performed it. And I'm going to be presenting that sometime this year for my series, which Lily Tomlin is the ambassador for. But I'm going to be doing a screening about the same thing, because I don't think enough people saw the movie, and with the Stanford rape case and all that, the timing is ideal to just, it's such a powerful film, and just to keep getting the message out there, even to college kids, and, because they really need to see it.
Yeah.
Now, also, this is about madness and mental health, and there's a big stigma about that, too, in society. So I'm sure you address that in the show, right?
We do address it because the whole show kind of, it begins with this character, my lead, Josh Rivera, who is absolutely incredible, basically being put in this asylum, this room. And in this room, his life is coming back to him in different ways, shapes, and forms, from his relationship with his parents to his childhood to his sexuality to, in a sense, it's politics. Because we do talk about politics. We do it more so within the films that we play throughout the show. But it's the madness part is that I've always found it, even before my own experience with it, that I never liked when people would call people crazy. Yeah. I always had an issue with that. I was like, because you don't understand them, they're crazy. I'm like, well, maybe you're just stupid. And so maybe it's not them, maybe it's you. I mean, not to be so frank, but even before the situation with myself, I always kind of noticed that there was a lack of understanding when it comes from human to human. And I think that's really is kind of I'm not a psychiatrist, but the basis for a lot of psychiatry. I mean, some people, it could be a, genetic predisposition, but I think we all are dancing on that line between sanity and insanity. I mean, do we get up and go to work, or do we stop working and just become homeless and walk the streets? It's going back to The Search, the character Trudy.
Right. Who's the narrator and the one with the philosopher.
Yeah, she's like the philosopher, and her and the aliens go around and they just guide us through this play. And it's so crazy because listening to it, I was like, my life is crazy because it's all interconnected right now. And listening to the dialogue of Trudy, and you begin to realize, wait, Trudy's not crazy. Trudy is the smartest one out of all of these characters, but because she tends to look at the world in a slightly more colorful way, there's something wrong with her. And I always, as a human being, I've had a huge, excuse my French, I've always had a huge fucking problem with that. I'm just like, we should be cultivating individuality, not drones, not clones.
That's what's wrong with this culture, because also all artists, I think, are unique and eccentric. Yeah. To make them you almost have to be a little mad to be any good. And the fact that if someone's misunderstood, it's a label. Right. So I'm a big part of, because I'm an anti-bullying activist, and bullying is all about picking on, whether it's in school or in the workplace, people that are different, and diversity and all that. So this covers all grounds. Now, in working with Ken on Hit the Wall, you also worked with two composers.
Yes, I did.
Anna and Charlotte, and then they're doing music on this. Talk a little bit about that, how you collaborate as a choreographer, and then you also have cover songs in this show, but you still had to pick the music for the theme. So talk a little bit about how you work with different composers and just music.
So when it comes to Anna and Charlotte, they make my job really easy because they're actually great composers. So we can pretty much kind of link in on an idea or a feel we want, and they'll come back with me with something where I'm just like, yep. So it's actually one of the easiest, most fluid processes I've been in, because other times there's sometimes a disconnect between the composer and the choreographer, but with them, they definitely understand their musicianship. I mean, they know what they're doing, but they also know how to create things that fit the project. And so that's always great because, essentially we're hired help, and we have to create what's appropriate for the show. So it's very easy working with them. It's definitely not I don't like that, I don't like this. It's just like that's just right. So we click. As far as my own show, there's an album, and it's funny, the album that I use for the show is by this group called The Knife. Yeah. And the name of the album is called Silent Shout, hence the show, The Shout. And so I heard the album like 10 years ago when I was like pretending to go to college in New York at 21. And I remember going, okay, this is so ahead of its time, it's not even funny. And so listening to it from beginning to end, about a year ago, I was like, you can just press play and this album would be brilliant. This show, it will make a great show. And so it was actually, again, very easy for me to pick the music because it kind of almost chose me.
Yeah, that's how I feel about everything. I think that there's a line that a lot of artists say, I didn't choose this, it chose me. And that's how I feel even about this interview with us. And the music that you have in the show, obviously, each one was very personal to the dance. Mm-hmm. Like Nina Simone, can you talk a little bit about that?
We actually cut the Nina Simone section.
Oh, okay. Well, it'll be in the movie, right?
Yes, we'll add Nina in the movie. But just for the theater show, we're still doing some trimming because, the idea you have in your head, and then when you look it all together, you're like, I love it, but it's not right. So we're definitely making trims, and Nina got the chopping block.
Oh, well, you'll have to all come check out The Shout this week.
Yes.
Okay, and then go check out The Search for Signs of Intelligent Life in the Universe, Revisited, previewing October 4th at the Lily Tomlin Jane Wagner Cultural Arts Center. Yes. at the Los Angeles LGBT Center, Davidson Valentini Theater, right? The small black box. That's my favorite space there too.
Oh, it's amazing.
I want to do my show there, so you heard it here first.
You should go. I'm sure John will take
Yeah,
the
right.
conversation.
Well, okay.
We'll work on
You
it.
set it up. Okay. Thanks.
I have homework.
Anyway, please, everybody check this out because this is the dance show of the moment. It really is, and it has something to say, which we all need right now.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. And ticket information.
Yeah.
www.elfertaltheater.com. Theater is with an RE on the website. Don't ask me. That's just what it is. Or you can call the phone number 818-5. Actually, I'm not going to say the phone number because I might mess it up. Let's go with the website. So www.elfertaltheaterre.com is where you can get tickets. It's easy to find. Just look under the show tabs to shout, pick your seat, get your ticket, and we'll be seeing you.
See you then.